And it brings me to this thing that happened not too long ago where Kevin Hart broke your stand-up box office record.
What record did he break?
He said he broke some record of your box office sales for stand-up.
I don't know. What did he break? I know ain't nobody. Raw is still the #1 box office concert movie in history, so I don't know what records nobody.
No more. I don't do it no more. I'm not falling for the trap. I'm sick of you. I'm sick of you. I'm not doing it no more. I'm not doing it. Every time I've talked to him, Eddie, what the are you doing? Get on stage. I don't know. I don't know, man. Maybe.
Eddie Murphy just set the internet on fire, and it had nothing to do with a new movie or a surprise stand-up announcement. The reason people lost their minds was because he decided to jump headfirst into one of the messiest feuds in comedy history. For years, Katt Williams and Kevin Hart have been going back and forth, taking shots at each other in interviews and on social media. When Eddie opened his mouth and appeared to take Kevin's side, the backlash came fast and hard. Some folks believe Eddie knows way more than he's letting on, while others think he's trying to protect someone powerful. A few people even called it the biggest mistake of his career, because now everyone is digging into everything connected to this beef. What they're finding has sparked questions that nobody in Hollywood seems eager to answer. To really understand how all of this started, you have to rewind back to 2006 when Dave Chappelle sat down with Oprah Winfrey and dropped a bombshell that changed the entire conversation. Dave talked about a strange pattern he noticed throughout his time in the entertainment business, and what he described got people thinking differently about the industry. Every major black comedian at some point in their career ended up wearing a dress on screen, and the list included some of the biggest names out there. Eddie Murphy wore one, Martin Lawrence built a franchise around it with Big Mama's House, and Tyler Perry turned it into an entire empire with Medea. Jamie Foxx and Marlon Wayans also did it at various points in their careers.
But certain dots, like when I see that they put every black man in the movies in a dress at some point in their career, I'll be connecting them down like, wow, all these brothers gotta wear a dress. This happened to me. I'm doing a movie with Martin. So I walk in a trailer. I'm like, man, this must be the wrong trailer because there's a dress in here. The writer comes in. I think he's the writer. He's like, Dave, listen, we got this hilarious scene where Martin's sneaking out of jail. So he disguises you as a and he put this dress on and, what? This prostitute. Nah, I'm not doing that. I don't feel comfortable with that. You don't feel comfortable with it. I mean, it's a hilarious bit. All the greats have done it. So, well, if all the greats have done it, it's kind of hacky, right? You're a writer, so why don't we just not do it?
Dave revealed that producers approached him during a film shoot and asked him to put on a dress for a scene, and his response was a flat refusal. His argument was simple, and he told them he didn't need a dress to get laughs because he could just say something funny instead. The pressure he faced was intense, with producers coming at every angle and directors trying to convince him it would work. Dave held his ground and refused to budge, famously walking away from a $50 million Comedy Central deal. When he shared that story publicly during the Oprah interview, it opened up a conversation that had been simmering beneath the surface for years. Suddenly, everyone had an opinion about what was happening behind closed doors in Hollywood, and one of the people who spoke up was Kevin Hart. Kevin went on record during an interview stating that he would never wear a dress under any circumstances.
I definitely haven't ran into to put on the dress. I mean, you know, you have to have boundaries. You have to have limits that you refuse to cross. You know, for me, I know what they are. They've yet to been challenged. So, you know, at the end of the day, you got to know that you're a brand. I'm a brand. You need to protect your brand at all times. When things happen that can possibly affect your brand, your brand can be diminished, and you don't want that to happen. So, you know, protecting my brand is definitely a priority.
His whole thing was about protecting his brand, and he talked extensively about how every entertainer needs to have boundaries and limits they refuse to cross no matter what. The way he presented it made it seem like he fully understood the game and had no intention of playing along with it. That statement stuck with people, which is why what happened next caught everyone off guard. Just a few months after making that bold declaration, Kevin showed up on Saturday Night Live wearing a dress, a wig, and the whole getup. The sketch had him playing a little girl complete with pigtails and a tiara on his head. People online went absolutely crazy, calling him a hypocrite and saying he switched up real quick for the right opportunity. Kevin tried to do damage control on social media, claiming the decision was entirely his own and that nobody forced him into anything. That explanation didn't land well with a lot of people, and the damage to his credibility on that topic was already done. One person who definitely wasn't buying what Kevin was selling was Katt Williams. Kai refused to hold back when interviewers asked him about Kevin and the dress situation.
Kevin doesn't have to worry about what people are going to say about him wearing a dress because of the long line of dress-wearing people before him. So now we had Big Mama's house 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
I've never seen Madea in a pantsuit. I think she wears dresses. So now I'm saying, why are we picking on poor little Kevin Hart? Because it was his turn next.
His point was straightforward, and he highlighted the obvious contradiction between Kevin's words and his actions. Kevin had just finished telling the entire world he would never wear a dress, and then weeks later, there he was doing exactly that on national television. But Katt didn't stop with just pointing out the hypocrisy, because he went deeper into what he saw as a pattern people had been ignoring for too long. All these comedians who came before Kevin wore dresses at some point, and now Kevin was following the exact same path they did. Katt questioned whether Kevin was actually making his own choices or just going along with what certain people wanted him to do. This is where the industry plant allegations really began taking shape. Kevin took all of this extremely personally, and his response came during an appearance on The Breakfast Club alongside Tiffany Haddish. The words Kevin used were harsh, calling Katt a failure and blaming his career decline on personal struggles and bad decisions he made along the way.
My frustration with Katt Williams comes from, you keep pointing at Hollywood. Hollywood this, the white man, this, and this. When do you take responsibility for your actions? You became a risk to the studios, which is why the studios stopped with you.
Why was he a risk?
He chose.
Oh.
According to Kevin, Katt became a risk that studios didn't want to deal with anymore, and that's the real reason Hollywood stopped calling him for projects. The whole exchange was brutal to watch unfold. Katt went quiet after that and disappeared from social media for years without saying much of anything publicly. When he finally decided to come back and speak again, he came back ready to say everything he'd been holding on to. January 2024 brought Katt Williams to Club Shay for an interview with Shannon Sharpe that sent shockwaves through the entire entertainment industry. The interview exploded to over 65 million views, making it one of the most watched podcast episodes in history. His claim was that Kevin Hart had received a lot of help getting to where he ended up, and he laid out his reasoning in detail. According to Katt, Kevin arrived in Hollywood and within his very first year already had his own sitcom on network television, plus a leading role in a movie called Soul Plane. Katt made the point that nobody in the history of stand-up comedy had ever risen through the ranks that quickly before or since. There were no stories floating around about Kevin grinding at comedy clubs for years building his reputation the traditional way. Nobody had memories of sold-out Kevin Hart shows before he got famous, or standing ovations at local venues that built word of mouth. The way Katt described it, Kevin seemed to just appear out of nowhere with all his deals already locked in and ready to go. The textbook definition of an industry plant. Katt wanted to make clear that jealousy wasn't driving his comments, and his perspective came from living through the industry and witnessing firsthand how things actually work when the cameras aren't rolling. That's his take on the situation, and he's sticking to it. But Kai didn't stop with Kevin Hart. He went after Steve Harvey for allegedly stealing material from Mark Curry, and called out Cedric the Entertainer for supposedly taking jokes that originated with him during the original Kings of Comedy era. The systematic nature of these allegations painted a picture of an industry where talent gets redistributed to more compliant performers. Kai also brought up a personal experience from early in his own career that shaped how he views the industry. During the filming of Friday After Next, where he played the character Money Mike, producers approached him about doing a scene that made him deeply uncomfortable. The original script reportedly put his character in a situation that Katt felt crossed a line he wasn't willing to cross. His view was that it wasn't funny at all, and came across as degrading rather than comedic. There was allegedly a dispute with Ricky Smiley over casting and character dynamics that created additional tension on set. Katt refused to do the scene and told the producers directly that comedy should make audiences laugh, not make them cringe for all the wrong reasons. The battle to get that scene changed was one he fought hard, and according to Katt, standing up for himself like that came with serious consequences. Opportunities that should have been his started drying up after that film wrapped. Phone calls from studios and agents stopped coming through the way they used to, and according to what Kai has said publicly, every movie that was supposed to go to him during that period ended up going to Kevin instead. Kai believes Kevin showed a willingness to go along with whatever the industry wanted without pushing back or asking for changes. Whether any of that actually happened the way Katt describes it is something only the people directly involved can confirm. What's clear is that Katt genuinely feels he paid a heavy price for refusing to compromise on his standards, and that belief has fueled this beef for years. During the Club Shay Shay interview, Katt made his position crystal clear when he said he had been offered $50 million to compromise his integrity, and he turned it down, the exact same amount Dave Chappelle walked away from. The Club Shay Shay interview became explosive because of how specific Kai got with his act. For a 5-year stretch, every single movie Kevin ended up doing had originally landed on Katt's desk first as an offer. According to Katt, the only thing he ever asked for was to have certain elements toned down or taken out completely before he would sign on. Nothing he requested was outrageous or unreasonable in his mind, just small adjustments that would let him feel comfortable putting his name on the project. But instead of working with him to find a middle ground, Katt says the studios would simply take that same script over to Kevin, and he would do it exactly as written, without requesting any changes at all. The way Katt sees it, this pattern proves Hollywood wasn't really interested in his talent, or what he could bring to a role. What they wanted was someone who would comply without asking questions, and when Katt wouldn't give them that, they went and found somebody who would. These are strong accusations to make publicly against another comedian. The claims definitely got people thinking more critically about how the entertainment industry really operates and who gets ahead versus who gets left behind. Through all the years this drama played out between Katt and Kevin, Eddie Murphy managed to stay completely out of it and avoid taking sides publicly. His relationships with both comedians seemed solid from the outside looking in. Katt had praised Eddie's legendary 1987 stand-up special, Raw, on multiple occasions, calling it one of the greatest performances in the history of stand-up comedy. Kevin also brought Eddie onto his podcast for what appeared to be a friendly and respectful conversation between two successful comedians. That peaceful dynamic shifted when Kevin made a move that clearly rubbed Eddie the wrong way. Kevin started doing interviews where he claimed to have broken Eddie's long-standing box office record for stand-up comedy. That claim did not sit well with Eddie Murphy at all, and he addressed it directly. During an interview, Eddie made it crystal clear that his record from Raw still stands strong after 37 years, and nobody has touched it.
And it brings me to this thing that happened not too long ago where Kevin Hart broke your stand-up box office record.
What record did he break?
He said he broke some record of your box office sales for stand-up.
I don't know. What did he break? I know, but Raw is still the #1 box office concert movie in history, so I don't know what records nobody broke.
His exact words were that he didn't know what record Kevin thought he broke, but whatever it wasn't his record. The confusion stems from the fact that Eddie's Raw grossed $50.5 million in theatrical box office revenue, making it the highest-grossing stand-up comedy film of all time, while Kevin broke live ticket sales records for arena shows. These are completely different metrics. Eddie kept his composure while saying all of this, but the message behind his calm tone was unmistakable. He even threw in a joke about possibly coming out of retirement just to take back whatever record Kevin thinks he currently holds. The underlying message was clear and direct, and it boiled down to one thing: don't play with my legacy. What happened next caught a lot of people by surprise because it seemed to contradict how Eddie had just handled Kevin. Reports started making the rounds that Eddie had reached out to Katt privately and told him to stop going after Kevin in interviews. The alleged warning from Eddie was that Kevin has powerful connections throughout the industry, and this fight isn't one that Katt can win no matter how many interviews he does or how much truth he thinks he's telling. Some people interpreted Eddie's reported advice as genuine concern for Katt's well-being and an attempt to protect him from making enemies that could end his career for good. Others looked at the same reports and concluded that Eddie must know things he doesn't feel comfortable discussing publicly, which is why he's being so careful. A lot of people online started dragging Eddie for what they saw as defending Kevin right after Kevin had tried to diminish Eddie's own accomplishments and legacy. The whole situation left fans questioning whose side Eddie is actually on and whether there's way more to this story than anyone involved is willing to say out loud. These reports about private conversations between Eddie and Katt remain unconfirmed rumors and speculation at this point, so nobody outside their circle knows what was actually said. What keeps this whole situation so fascinating is how it refuses to die down and keeps evolving with every new interview or public appearance. Just when it seems like the drama might finally be cooling off, somebody says something new that reignites the entire conversation all over again. Katt continues dropping hints and making comments during his interviews that keep people analyzing every word for deeper meaning. Kevin tends to dodge or deflect whenever certain topics come up in conversation with interviewers or when approached by paparazzi. Recent interviews with Charlamagne Tha God show Kevin expressing regrets about past decisions, though he never addresses Katt's specific claims directly, and Eddie appears to be walking a very fine line between staying relevant in the conversation and staying safe from whatever consequences might come from saying too much. The world of stand-up comedy has always had its share of rivalries and beefs between performers competing for the same audiences and opportunities, but this particular situation feels different from the usual industry drama. Everything about it feels deeply personal, and the layers seem to go way beyond simple questions of who's funnier or who sells more tickets on tour. The Netflix deals, the streaming numbers, the social media followers, all of it becomes secondary when you're talking about fundamental questions of artistic integrity versus commercial success. Comedy exists to bring people together and give them something to laugh about when life gets hard. Behind the scenes of that laughter, there appears to be a completely different game being played with rules that the public doesn't fully understand. Talent alone doesn't seem to be enough to guarantee success, and one wrong move or one refusal to play along can apparently cost someone everything they spent years working toward. The question everyone keeps asking now is where all of this goes from here and how it eventually ends. Will Katt Williams keep talking and revealing more details about what he claims to have witnessed and experienced? Will Kevin Hart ever respond directly to the specific accusations instead of dodging questions and changing subjects? And will Eddie Murphy eventually pick a definitive side, or will he keep trying to play the middle and maintain relationships with everyone involved? One thing that's absolutely certain is that the internet is watching every move these three comedians make and analyzing every word they say. People aren't going to let this story fade away anytime soon because the drama is too compelling to ignore. When legends of this caliber start going at each other publicly, everybody pays attention regardless of whether they're comedy fans or not. And in the world of entertainment where attention drives everything from ticket sales to streaming numbers, all eyes being on this beef means it's far from over,